Yes, yeah, so that's it's been 8 months and I.
Oh, she's ready. Okay. What are you testing?
We get on with that.
Sir.
All right. I'm going to call to order the Park City Board of Education meeting on the September 17th at 4 p.m. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, a nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. As you, many of you know, the board has received the formal notice that Dr. Gilday will be ending her tenure with Park City School District. We first want to thank Dr. Gilday for her dedication and hard work for the students and staff of Park City School District and her commitment to the district and this community over the last 6 years. And we wish her really well in her next chapter. As the agenda states, it's our plan this evening to appoint an interim superintendent. It's our intention to immediately transition the superintendent duties to that individual who will have all of the responsibilities of the office while we begin a comprehensive search process for our next superintendent, which will be carried out by the incoming board. Dr. Gilday will remain available as needed for consultation, transition, and program-related work through October 31st of 2024. And we expect to have a smooth transition, ensuring that there is appropriate transfer of institutional knowledge regarding the many functions, obligations, and ongoing work of the superintendency. As of November 1st, Dr. Gilday will be accessing her previously unused time off to take her through January 31st, 2025. As a board, we collectively feel It is in the best interest of the district to move quickly and appoint a capable interim to immediately assume all superintendent duties during this transitionary period. Tonight, therefore, we are pleased to appoint Caleb Fine as the interim superintendent for the Park City School District. We believe Mr. Fine brings a steady and thoughtful leadership style that the district needs during this transition period. Over his career, he has displayed a commitment to the Park City community and this district, and we are delighted and grateful that he's willing to step up and lean into this position to keep moving this district forward. With that said, I would be happy to entertain a motion to appoint Caleb Fine as the interim superintendent of the Park City School District effective immediately, as set forth in the agreement between the Board of Education of Park City School District and the interim superintendent. I'll make a motion to appoint Caleb Fine as rep.
Second.
Third. Great. In the coming hours and days, Mr. Fine will be introducing himself and communicating out his vision and intentions as he assumes this new role he is ready and willing to take on. And at this time, we're going to ask Caleb to come on up, and Randy's going to read the oath and join us up here at the table.
I, Caleb Fine, having been duly appointed to the position of interim superintendent
Have been duly appointed to the position of interim superintendent
in the Park City School District,
in the Park City School District.
do solemnly swear that I will support and defend
Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and the Constitution of the State of Utah,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
and I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. We're gonna ask first to take a 5-minute recess, so some communication and some other, we can sign the contract with Mr. Fine, and then invite him to come join us up here for a quick 5-minute recess. So I ask for a motion for a 5-minute recess. I make a motion for a 5-minute recess. Great, thank you. All right. Not here.
Thank you.
Want to adhere to 5 minutes.
I say. Motion to reconvene. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna ask for a motion to reconvene this regularly scheduled board meeting.
I'll make the motion to reconvene in regular.
Second.
Okay, all right, we are going to first, jump into the consent agenda. And, I will ask for a motion for, the consent agenda, sorry, this is pulling up. To approve the consent agenda, August 24th, check register, August, board expenses report, August board revenue report, baseball travel requests, Paris travel, and closed minutes of September 4th, 2024, the 24-25 LEA specific license, September report of 2024, and the new hire September, the new hires of September 2024.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
Great. Any discussion? Any comments? Anything, Lori?
All in favor?
All in favor?
There you go.
I was making sure no one.
Randy's keeping us up.
Thank you.
He's like, and then he's gonna get cue cards.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great. We already approved the regular session minutes. All right, we're gonna jump into some monthly reports here. Why don't we start? Lila, do you want to start for us tonight? The student report? Okay, great. This is Lila. Lila, yeah, Lila's gonna
I'm
introduce.
Lila. I'm the assistant student on the board. We recently had homecoming. It went really well. Just under 700 people attended. The theme was really about shame. At the end, we had some problems with schedules. People were having so much fun, they didn't want to leave in the beginning. So it was a little more expensive in that part than we anticipated, but overall it went really well. Yes, it was really fun. Upcoming next for October, we're doing a Halloween week. We have some events, dodgeball, sport training, movie night, zombie night. We're all really excited for that. Talent show coming up and spirit weeks in December, but that's a lot of it.
Okay, great, thank you. Thanks for coming. So we won't normally see you here.
I'll be here, but Quinn's gonna be the main
Okay,
spokesperson.
okay, great. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
All right, Mary? Oh,
I wrote a statement before the news of Caleb, and I just had a moment of a classroom teacher realizing I have the interim superintendent's grades in in a file in my office, so you guys. And I have to be careful how you. I just want to say congratulations. It's been a weird moment, so. Proud of you, by the way. Good evening.
Like his actual grades from school.
I do, and it's in a paper book. It's not even on the computer. I went to find that.
that is awesome.
Very nice.
Tomorrow's midterm, the kids and staff are setting in, and we were happy to report that things are going pretty well. We would like to thank the board and Randy Upton for the PTO retirement pilot. We're hearing positives, and people have been asking a lot of questions, and we're trying to forward everything to Randy, so he has something to do. Now we can go back to discussing the ski passes. The PCA, again, this is a reminder, I wrote this before we got here, so we would like to acknowledge Dr. Gilday's decision and thank, not only her, but also the board for the time, your service, patience, professionalism, and the deep belief that there truly takes a village to make things happen with kids, so. No matter what we face and uncertainty, the school year presses on. PCA will continue to support and expect excellence in the classroom from both district and our own staff. Thank you guys for your time and your continued efforts.
Great, thank you. All right, Stacy. Wait, oh my God, Sorry. Oh, yeah, Jen, sorry. Oh, good. I didn't see you. Yeah, sorry. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. It's been a while. I've been
That's
emotional
really
this summer.
Just been hanging out in your digs.
Right. I know, it's been an amazing summer, sure. First of all, PCCA would like to thank PCEA for negotiating the PTO pilot policy with, Mr. Upton. We're really excited to see how that goes. Gina Cox is the president, and she asked me to share that she has really appreciated the opportunity to work with Dr. Gilday and Mr. Jensen to review and update policies throughout the year. So there's not so much work to do during negotiations, and they hope that continues. We saw some trends coming up with calls from members during the beginning of the year, so we've been able to address that right away. Letting our members understand the existing overtime policy is a big one. There was a lot of confusion, I think, to ESPs on that. And we're working on the duty-free lunch policy for ESPs, just because it's not as clear as the licensed group. And also looking at making evaluations more consistent and equitable enforcement, so people can predict and know that we know everyone is having a fair shot of being evaluated. And I want to thank everyone personally for the new preschool and community center buildings. Now that we're moved in, all the pain of the last few years of trying to get those built is just gone away. We are so happy in there, and it's great to see the community center being used every day. So that's really incredible. Like I said, it's been a busy beginning of the year, but PCCA has been really happy to help and assist in any way we can. And I was going to add, Gina and I have been going to many trainings around the state. We just had our leadership conference, our USEA leadership conference, where I was a presenter. Gina just got back from the Urban Education Association's president's training. This summer, I was recognized by the National Teacher Hall of Fame and was able to participate in the induction ceremony for the National Memorial of Fallen Educators. It is in Emporia, Kansas, and this year there were 2 educators added to that. And we already have 3 more. And I'm headed to Washington, DC next weekend to address the NEA Board of Directors. So thank you for supporting me in my amazing work. So
Thanks for all your work.
thanks.
Okay. Now, on that. You just need one sheet.
So the teaching and learning team wants to express their thanks to Dr. Gilday, and also we've been texting frantically since the announcement. Want to express our support for Superintendent Fine and looking forward to working closely with him. So I'm bringing you some of the data. School report cards are not out, but the USBE data gateway has been updated with some of the results of last year. I'm going to show you 7 slides. The first 3 slides are overall performance, and we've got a little bit more of some of the trend data. So where we can, we're trying to show growth from 2021, so post-pandemic, to 2024. There's a couple exceptions to that. And then the final 4 slides go directly to our goals and our strategic plan. Many of us have seen this first slide. It is showing growth in the tests, and in the stacked bar chart, when you see those pairs, you're seeing language arts, math, and science. And for our district, it's the higher ones. So you can see that English language arts district-wide ended up at 62% proficiency. Those proficiency tests are really 3rd grade through 10th grade, right? But seeing over on the left side, the growth over the past few years, 8% growth in ELA, 10% growth in math, and 13% growth in science. And you will see those high science numbers through this whole presentation, the investment that was made by the board, the district, and particularly all the teachers and schools and students is paying off. Our science scores look amazing and really great. If you have a question, just stop me. There's a lot of information on there. The next slide is pulling it out by 6th through 10th grade proficiency. You can see that black line on the slide, that is science proficiency. Just this last year in 2024, from 6th to 10th grade science proficiency, it went up 6%. And over those past few years, up 12%. ELA went up this last year, 6%. And that is the total gain over the last few years. So even though there was a little bit of a dip, it has gone back up. And then math had a 6% gain also last year. So just wanted to point that out. And it looks a little gobbly there on the bottom, but just under that final column of data, you can see where the Utah proficiencies are for grades 6 through 10. If you read in the news, you can see that they are just statewide, we are just barely trying to recover to pre-pandemic levels. But in our district, we had a small dip and then started to move forward.
So can I just confirm something, 37%?
That is
the
for the Utah,
math,
right,
that's up there?
yes,
Okay. And what is that?
44 and
Nationwide.
44. What's that?
What's nationwide, you know?
I do not, no.
And so we dipped and then, but the statewide is 37%. And so our math, the darker blue is 49.
Right, and that is up from 43 in the end of 2021.
Okay, and do we know what it was before COVID? Like, do we,
I can
49?
dig.
Okay, great, next time, that's fine.
I
I just
can
am
dig.
wondering if we're back to.
We're well above where we were.
before, or-
So that's what I was
Okay.
saying.
Yeah.
Statewide, they dipped and they're barely starting to recover to pre-pandemic levels. We've continued to grow from pre-pandemic and post-pandemic.
Okay,
So our dip was very small.
and
we've continued
proficiency,
to
you're
grow.
just like, that's basic proficiency.
It's what is determined in the
Fine.
end of level test by the
By the
state
state.
as being proficient.
Not, and then, okay,
Okay,
got it.
so this one is on Rise and Aspire because 6, 7, and 8 take the Rise test, 9 and 10 take the Aspire test. But if you look at the 3rd through 5th grade, and I separated it slightly differently than the USBE separates it so that it would match our elementary and secondary. So next slide, please. You can see also that there has been strong and significant growth. Look at science up there. 6 or 7% increase just last year, 6% increase in math just last year, and a 6% increase in ELA just last year. You can look on the chart and see where the statewide averages are. And then you can also see the growth since 2021 to 2024 of 14%, 13%, and 11%. So sustained growth over time in those populations. So those first 3 are just kind of capturing the big picture. The next 4 slides are speaking to our goals that we have in our strategic plan. So our goal in our strategic plan is about our students getting language proficiency on the WIDA test. All of our multilingual learners take this test in January and February every year. And we want them to test at language proficiency. So this isn't ELA, like English class. This is WIDA proficiency. The reason that only 2 years are on there is that they changed statewide the score at which you could kind of test out of MLL. And 2023 was the first year that we did that, and 27% of our students tested out. And this spring, 22% of our students tested out. And I just heard from Dr. Best this week. There's also an adapted test for students that are in special education, like a special version of that test. And it is extremely rare for students on that to be able to test out. And there's just a handful of students who take that, and
Four of the five tested proficient on it. And they're not accounted for in this data. So some very fine work being done through our district. What this also means, though, is that our MLL students who have tested out for WIDA are not getting a special ESL class. So they are in all of our regular classes. So we feel the heavy weight of the responsibility to help them really grow, because what they will be doing is working with the whole group of the students because they've tested out there.
Just for context, thanks, this is super clear and great news. What is the testing out? I mean, what is a percentage target that we would look for?
So in a WIDA, there's a composite score, and there are elements on the WIDA test. So there is reading, writing, listening, and speaking. And one other.
Reading, writing, listening, speaking.
Oh my God, writing?
And five of the fifth.
Writing.
Yeah, but it's the elements of productive and receptive language. So speaking and writing are productive, listening and reading are the receptive.
Okay.
So in that, it used to be that you had to get an average score of a 5 to be able to get out. Our state in Utah was much higher than it was nationally, so they adjusted that. So it's a 4.2 for the composite, but you must get in the speaking, you must get at least a 3.5. So you can't do everything else. So it's a little trickier now, but the scores are not quite as high, but they're more reflective of what's going on nationally. And so that's where.
But our ideal year is this.
This is
within our
fantastic.
ideal. Okay.
This is fantastic.
Great.
And
Yes.
our goal was 80% are out in 5 years.
And 5 years. Got it.
Right.
But just some context on the overall numbers, because obviously that goes down year on year. Is that partly a reflection of our success, or is it?
Yes. So if you were to take out all the ones in the blue box from 2023, right? And then you would have a population, because in 2023, I believe we had 478, which is why that bar is there. So then you would have what's left in the purple, but then you can see more students joined us.
Right.
Who were MLLs, so the bar got longer to 415, but again, 22%.
So it's somewhat dependent on the incoming students, but
Right.
over time, as we're successful, we would hope that that's going to continue.
And we're starting for the first time to see that trend.
Okay, so this gets us on the trend of the 80%. If we do this, this gets us to 80% in 5 years generally.
There's
Or,
more work to be done, for sure.
got it, okay.
We adopted that new, newcomer curriculum this year that you guys approved, and the community approved, and so there's definitely hiring Dr. Best as our ESL coach, there's things that we're doing to help improve that.
Okay, okay.
Yes,
And is this kindergarten to 12th grade?
Yes.
This is everybody.
This is everybody.
Okay.
okay, great, next slide. So our next goal is about 3rd grade reading, and as you know, this past year, we went through a pretty significant instructional materials adoption because we want to be able to do a better job at attacking reading. Our goal is that 70% of our students are reading on grade level at the end of 3rd grade. So if you see that 64 there that says ROGL, it looks funny, but in the spring, we were at 64% of our students reading on grade level. Compared to the state, that's 50%, but the green that's on the top indicates the students who are very close. They're at benchmark, it's called. And remember last year I talked to you about how they were doing a little voodoo with what's grade level, what's benchmark, what's okay, what's not okay. So it's all clarified now. grade level, we have 64 of our students who were there. We are trying to get to 70, and then we want to get beyond that. But 84% of our students are at benchmark, and last year it was 78%. So that is increasing, but the new materials are being deployed and they're phasing them in and working and training with the new materials. So we believe that especially the reading with the 95% curriculum, which is something that was referenced in the legislative audit that North Summit was using. We went and looked, we investigated lots of other districts who were looking at it. We decided what we thought would be best for us. But we are hoping this will help our MLL students and any kind of struggling reader to be able to progress. So we're gonna see where that is next spring, and it honestly, it might take us 2 years, but hopefully that'll be one of our first indicators that we've continued to improve in that area. Okay. Our next strategic goal is about 8th grade math proficiency. I know that in 2021, it says that it was only at 16 something percent. That was that really weird start testing after the pandemic. I just put it on there because we did know what it was. I don't even know what percent of our students were testing here. But you can see that we were floating just below 60, and then we had a little bit of a drop down last year. But we recovered from that. We were at 59% of 8th grade math being proficient, and our target is 90. That is a very, very lofty target. But we are working and our trajectory is heading in the right direction. You can see that little pink dot there in 2024 statewide, 8th grade math, 40% proficient. So we still have work to do there, but it is in our strategic plan. We realize it's a critical data point. So I wanted you to know where we were
And
at.
any national comparison?
I didn't pull that data. I can bring it and pull it.
I know a little bit about 8th grade math. And one thing that it is 8th grade math is typically we start to see a dip nationwide. And that trend continues now even into 10th grade nationwide. We're seeing that trend. We're really proud of what we're doing in Park City School District because that dip is reversed. 8th grade stops in 9th and starts going back up in 10th, which we're not seeing the nationwide trend. I don't have the exact percentages, but it's been really intentional work with the high school team, Ecker before us, try to make sure that these students are going up. But it's a lofty goal to hit it, and it's something that the teachers are talking about all the time. We want to get it. We want a better score, but we are actually quite proud of that.
So the last goal in our strategic plan that I wanted to share a little bit with you, and it doesn't seem to be showing great on there, but we want to make sure that our students are performing well on the ACT, and our strategic plan specifically calls out the reading component of the ACT and the English language arts, the ELA part. So the first 3 columns are last year's 11th graders, so this year's seniors, when they took the state administered version in March of the test. By the time this group of 11th graders finishes their senior year, many of them will have retaken the test and improved even on those scores. But I wanted to give a snapshot of where that 11th grade is because it's hard to capture them in time. So our reading score and the reading readiness score is considered to be 22 for college readiness. And our average was 22.4. The ELA college readiness nationally is considered to be 18, and our students were at 20.6, and the composite for the 11th graders at Park City High School at 21.4. One thing to kind of keep in mind, especially if those of you who remember going through it yourself or did it with your own student, every 10th of a percent is a big lift to move a large group there. So Utah's reading, we're comparing to a 20.4, Utah ELA comparing to a 19.1, and Utah composite to a 19.8. So Those are significantly higher. And what we will be looking at in the future is making sure what percentage of the cohort is meeting those readiness things. But I wanted to give you a little bit of snapshot of what we've seen in the data so far.
Right,
Okay, thank you.
thank you. All right.
Good afternoon, it's the board report, the operations update for the 17th of September 2024. The buildings and ground area, ops is working on temperature stabilization in the new high school and middle school wings. The new equipment combined with 40-degree seasonal temperature swings this time of year has made it challenging to get those dialed in, but we're certainly on it right now. Operations is preparing snow removal equipment, vendor contracts, and salt supply for the upcoming winter. MHTN Architect Operations and Finance held a board work session on the 9th of September to discuss the master athletic facility plan. And work continues on a rewrite of the interlocal agreement. Ops, Finance, and Community Ed are working on that, and we met with Basin Recreation yesterday to continue that work. A ribbon cutting for the CTE section of the Park City High School Phase 1 expansion will be held on the 27th of September at 3 o'clock. Transportation, our staffing numbers initially improved. Now some resignations, illnesses, and sub non-availability are forcing office in the shop to drive. Ron McCullough passed through the transportation department a couple weeks ago. 8 drivers are out in 1 week, but they managed to keep things together. 2 drivers though are in the training pipeline now, and one of those also had one has also been recently interviewed that has previous driving experience in our district, which will make the training shorter. Park City School District held a press conference with the EPA and DEQ last week regarding the $400,000 in funding we received for the 2 new electric buses. A bus lane restriping at Eckertville Middle School was studied with our architect, and a new efficient pattern restriped in the next several days. Also, we're happy to tell the board that all space available riders were accommodated this year, which is a big step. Child Nutrition Service, John Hopkins and his team are back to full main strength and report no problems. All 3 new serving lines and new kitchen are fully operational at Eckertville Middle School. Human Resources, Craig reports that license hiring is moving along very well. And memos distributed to staff regarding the pilot PTO payout program that you heard about from the employee groups earlier. In security, the new House Bill 84 required school security specialists, which are our deans, are receiving weekly training from Mike and Carolyn. The school safety specialist completed 6 of the 7 House Bill required school safety needs assessment with Summit County Sheriff Office Lieutenant Todd Davis, and those are due to the state by the 31st of December. Park City School District will participate in a countywide exercise on the 24th of September, testing evacuation procedures and transportation. Many of our students will participate as mocked up roulage, they call it, folks who appear to be injured. And some of our CPE students will shadow the aviation elements that are coming in to hear the radio transmissions and vectored in, some with the EMTs and some at the hospitals. So really good learning thing for folks. A ballistic interior film is under review for classroom windows in new Eckertville Middle School and Park City High School wings. Additional lighting, striping, and curb cuts will be added to the Napoleon Treasure Comstock entrance for safety. Tech, ops, and our builders will meet on Thursday to standardize the security suite, old and new spaces, and coordinate ongoing construction responsibilities for procurement and installation. And the first security meeting of the new school year will be on the 15th of October. Board members are welcome. Lori promises us shed run donuts. And we hope that so any questions for me?
I have a question. Have you been hearing from some of the kids in the new way not doing well?
I have not heard that. Nobody's told us about it. I did see a Facebook post on Friday.
Yeah.
About it. In that Facebook post, folks were talking about some respiratory issues. And there was a lot of, ideas about what could be causing that. We did, as a response to that, had our environmental consultants, R&R, begin some testing in the program, in the high school, new high school wing, to ensure that we don't have anything that's dangerous for the kids in there. We don't know what is causing it. It could be, thinking through it, you know, we were very aggressive in our air quality management during COVID and put in a very high, filtering, HEPA filtration systems in our existing school, along with ionization and UV treatment of the air. Perhaps the air in our existing facilities is cleaner than what's happening right now, in the new wings, especially in light of the smoke that we've had recently. It's likely there is still some construction dust that is circulating there. We're looking to see, we're doing testing right now for, potential off-gassing in airborne, crystalline, silicon along with, fiberglass. And so we'll have those answers soon. The good news is that the products that we use under the LEED certification are very low in off-gas. They're organic in nature, like the tile is a linseed type, composite. And all the glues that are used to hold down the tiles and the carpet are very, are by industry standard now, very low in any of those off-gassing. So we don't anticipate that there's a dangerous situation there, but we thought it would be smart to investigate it. We can get our people right in there on Saturday and Sunday to take a look at it. So we'll have more results for you.
Do you know when you'll get those results?
We should have some of the preliminary results tomorrow.
Okay.
Some of the other tests are a little more complicated, it'll take us a little time in the lab, so we'll have something probably by next week.
Okay.
In the interim though, we have moved in, during COVID, we bought several large HEPA filters, if you remember those, that
Yeah.
were the size of refrigerators. So we moved those into the first and third floor, hallways by the elevator in the new wing. Additionally, about a year, maybe 2 years ago, we had a group in the valley offered to buy every classroom a HEPA filtration tower. We gathered about 500 of those and stuck them in our warehouse. Only about half of our people took advantage of those. But we've also deployed a bunch of those in those meetings too. So again, I did not receive any formal complaint, nor to my knowledge did the high school, but we did see that out there and we thought we should get ahead of it.
Well, thank you for doing that. Yeah, and the wing is amazing. I got a tour. You guys haven't seen it yet. My lord. Roger, have you heard anything?
So I had only heard that there was a post on Facebook and I have not heard of any, and moving those negative air, filters into first and third floors, has, I mean, we didn't notice anything before, but as a precaution, we did have those installed.
You know, the other thing too is that the air handlers with the new construction have been filtering out, more things had accumulated in the system during construction. So we're changing those out as well. So that's another step we're taking, hoping to, make the situation right.
We also think that it might have been possibly from, putting in the carpet, because there's some glue that's involved also. And
The glue is no obvious.
it's not,
Is it carpet?
There is a mastic that's put down,
Yeah.
but it does not have off-gassing associated with it. The other piece of it too, the new environment there has the new LED lighting, it has the new windows. Just that change in the lighting environment might cause headaches, that kind of thing, or people might be used to it. I know that for me, the start of the school year always caused me headaches, and then I know that.
For different reasons?
I know that, seasonal allergies contribute to it. The post that I saw said that it was, unique to, the high school wing, new wing. And, it was not, consistent with the timing of the bad air event that we had last week. So, with that idea in mind, I thought we should get ahead of it. So we got our and I are in the problem right now.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks. Door 19 is working perfectly. I was just gonna say,
Perfect.
we're good with the doors.
Good with the doors.
Hot doors, thank you.
Thank you.
See you again. All right. Let's go ahead and move to the superintendent report.
That's a bit awkward.
Yeah.
Didn't have a lot of time to put anything together. I don't have a formal report, but, and you know that, but I'd be remiss if I didn't take this opportunity to express my gratitude to the board for your support, and it's honoring, it's humbling. It's an incredible job. The students we serve are priceless. And I know very clearly the charge, and it is to continue to move this district forward so that when we hand off to the next superintendent, we're handing off a district in the best possible position because we serve priceless kids. And that is our charge. And I also do think that, Dr. Jill deserves a thank you. 6 years is a long time. And she put in a lot of work and a lot of energy and effort, and I hope that she can be remembered for the many great things she did in her time. But I'm grateful. I know the charge. I'm eager to help move forward. I'm eager to support, and I'm grateful. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we are going to move into discussion and to a facility update. Hi, Mike. Back up, Mike.
Quick construction update for the 17th of September 2024. Harley's Park is on schedule and on budget. The school's having site grading, landscaping, and hardscape, which is the concrete work being worked right now. Site material staging is occurring. Interior masonry, electrical, mechanical weapons, wall and soffit framing, parking lot striping, window frame, and glass drop-offs are all underway. The project should be dried in here in just about a month prior to the weather closing in, which will greatly enhance our ability to efficiently manage the project. Drywall will also begin very soon as the framing is approaching completion at Harley's. Substantial completion there at Harley's again, spring of 2025. Trail side is on schedule, on budget. Masonry work and area expansion of areas A walls is underway, with the project nearly tapped out, meaning that its masonry is about as high as it's going to go towards the roof line. The roof structure will be installed soon. That project also will dry in soon to be protected from the winter weather and allow us to efficiently manage the project. Substantial completion there, spring of 2025. Park City High School on schedule, is on budget. Classroom stocking and finishing touches continue in phase 1. Phase 2 is well underway with structural steel being sent. Probably saw a crane out there the last 2 days, and the erector set starting to go up in front of the high school. So steel is being set and the foundation forms are in place, along with foundation columns also being set. We've been troubleshooting for the uneven temperatures in the new wing, and we're working to dial in a consistent, comfortable temperature there. As I mentioned, also the CTE ribbon cutting will be on the 27th of September at 3 o'clock. A substantial completion there is on schedule for summer of 2025 delivery. At River Middle School, again on schedule, on budget. The remaining hardscape for distant concrete is being formed and poured. Mechanical weapons continue in wing B, which is the wing that is less completed, as does the restroom and mechanical work in the hallways leading to both new wings. Air handlers were received and installed on the 6th of September, and were set and will be operational soon in new wing and gym. The main gym floor, the nailing of the new floor is complete, and will be followed by sanding and finishing over the next few weeks. Tile and carpet are slowly being laid in the areas not impacted by construction. And we have substantial completion planned there for January 2025. A reminder to the public, a construction summary in layman's terms is always posted on the district website. And we have JD with us tonight from MOCA, our own representative, for any in-depth questions that you need.
No, how do we, Ecker seems to be back on. I'm good.
Yeah, the students were initially phased, when they first walked in, seeing the concrete floors, and but within a day, the kids were being kids and asking. It's really great to see them in the new space. They're really taking advantage of the new furniture that was selected, and really some good things going on in there right now.
Great. Questions? Thank you. Okay, moving along, the preschool expansion, phase 2, CC and Dan. They're gonna be presenting the preschool expansion phase 2 plan. What's that?
Yeah. Everybody,
Hello.
how are you?
Good, how are you?
Very good to see you. Before we get started, I just want to say thank you
Thank you to the board, the cabinet, and the associations. The pay increase for our classified staff has dramatically changed the landscape of our ability to recruit, hire, and retain incredible people. Something Todd and I talked a lot about. We had 8 openings in May, and we had over 50 applicants.
Wow.
Yeah, we hired 4 licensed teachers and another staff who's finishing up their license this year. So only adds to already our incredible existing workforce, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
But we're here to talk to you about phase 2 of our preschool expansion. We can go to the next slide. Currently we have 12 new preschool teachers and 12 teaching assistants. We have 9 5-day-a-week 4-year-old programs. And we have 156 students between 3s and 4s, the majority being in the 4s. Today, we're really going to talk about Parley's Park, Trailside, and our 3-year-old program. Go to the next one. Thank you again for allowing us to come to you in December outside of regular budget season to talk to you about increasing our budget for the expansion and doing the same now. And we're a few months early. And the reason for that is most preschool and childcare centers open up registration January 1. And they're already taking names for waitlists, so people are putting non-refundable deposits down. So what we need to do is know what our offering is going to be for the next year and communicate that to the community. And to work with the phase team to advertise, market, and to hold events at our 2 new beautiful spaces at McPullen and Jeremy. We can go to the next slide. I just want to take a minute to talk about what the expansion has meant so far for some of our families. So this first one's from Lena talking about her son Juan. Firstly, I feel that my son is interacting more with other children his age, which is slowly helping him in the process to learn to socialize. As he is an only child and is used to having everything to himself. But now he's learning a lot and his behavior is slowly improving. Secondly, the fact that he is in school full-time helps both my husband and me enormously because we both can work. The next slide, is from Lords, talking about her daughter Kimberly. I'm happy I no longer have to leave her with a nanny. She even says that she prefers to be at school than with the nanny. My daughter is very shy, and I feel that going to school will help her social skills. I waited a long time to register in the program, and now I'm very happy for her. And not only but I also have the possibility to work more and more relieved to know that my daughter is not only well cared for, but she is learning. The last one's from Ophelia, talking about her daughter Anna. Having my daughter in school full-time has made my life easier. I feel that now I can have more time to work and support my family. And most importantly, I've noticed a big change in my daughter. She's learning a lot, she has friends to play with, and she doesn't spend all her day on her phone. Also, having her in the after-school program is fabulous. I don't have to rush out of work or ask for help to pick her up from school. I feel that she is safe and that while she is there, she is still learning and playing with her classmates. So just in this month, we're already seeing like the significant impacts of just adding 1 day to our program and after school. So it's a really positive outcome. So talking about 25-26 and the second step in expansion, we want to add 2 additional classrooms at Parley Park and 2 additional classrooms at Trailside. We also want to look to move our 3-year-old program to 5 full days per week. That being said, we want to offer both our 4 and 3-year-old families the ability to sign up or show interest in a half-day program. And depending on what we get from registration, we can fill those classes.
Thanks. What do you think those numbers are right now? Is there a big demand for that?
So, let's take a look at this next one. So we'll have capacity for 288 kids. So 18 full-day classrooms. Right now we have, if we look at kindergarten enrollment, our 4-year-olds are 60% of kindergarten enrollment, not even, and our 3-year-olds are at 20%.
So that means that
Yeah.
there's probably a
Yeah.
need in the community for more services.
Yeah.
Right. So next year, if we're able to match what we're doing
Right.
for our 4s, we will have well over 220 students.
Okay.
So the 3-year-olds, it's a significant increase. Right now, there's 2 sections. It's either Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday for 3 hours a day. We only have 40-ish students in that program. That program itself is fantastic, but it limits the families that can access it.
Right.
And the other thing that we're seeing too is they're making great progress, but we have a lot of groundhog effect. Where with our 3-year-olds only coming for that short amount of time, there's, we sometimes can't keep traction. But moving from 6 to 32 hours not only impacts our preschool budget, but also special ed, which is being folded into this proposal as well.
Okay.
So when we think about 3-year-olds that are coming through early intervention, that get 6 hours of supervision and support, that would go up to 32 hours next year. Something to consider, you know, there's no program in the state that's doing 4-year-olds 5 days a week, full days. And there's no program in the state that's doing 3-year-olds to this capacity as well. There are some programs that are doing mixed groupings with 3- and 4-year-olds for half day. There's some
Okay.
really good research around the positive effects of mixed groupings when it comes to language, social emotional learning, and executive functioning. A 3-year-old who comes in, who just turned 3 versus a 4-year-old who's turning 5, they're significantly different humans, right? With their language development, their social skills, their rest times. So we need to take that into consideration if we're considering mixed groupings. So talking with our staff, we want to intentionally plan mixed groupings for purposeful play and for structured recess. So that they're having time to be a good language model and a leader as a 4-year-old, and a 3-year-old is really learning from a peer those skills, because it's a lot more effective to learn from a 4-year-old than, you know, a 37-year-old man, right? So.
We can all learn from 4-year-olds too.
Exactly, right.
Like,
So that's right. So we want to create these mixed groupings to really leverage the strengths in our students. If you go to the next slide. So the needs for our expansion, we need to increase access for our 3-year-olds, as Stacy was saying, and we're not catching nearly enough of the population that we have. We want to open the expansion classrooms at Trailside and Parley's. And then we want to be consistent and continue with that early drop off for childcare starting at 7:30, and then after school from 3 to 6.
Yeah.
So some of the needs within the program, we would need to add an administrative assistant / outreach position. The incredible Dina Housel is, you know, running a lot of this, and I think we need to partner with outreach to create a position that works with families on registration, on billing. And then the big lift is to work with the Department of Workforce Services. So families that qualify for free and reduced lunch and are on the scholarship, they can apply for a DWS scholarship, the subsidy, excuse me. And DWS will pay a portion, up to 100% of the remainder of the tuition. And there's also the Upwards grant through the city and the county, which will pick up the rest as well. So we need an outreach coordinator and administrative assistant that can help with families sign up, because the amount of paperwork and, you know, calling into the state is tedious at times and is a barrier. So we need to support. The other thing with that DWS is on our end, as a provider, we don't see the kids that don't get accepted and the reason why. They just sort of drop from our portal.
Yeah.
So we need a staff to follow up with those families and say, what did you hear from DWS? How can I support you? Because it might be something as simple as like, I missed line 7 versus our income is too much. So we need to have a staff that can help follow up and support with our revenue.
like outreach coordinator, or you that could work with the families, visit the families.
Right, so we want the position to be able to do both. So
Right.
and the administrative assistant position has busy seasons, you know, when we're looking at registration and you know, getting billing set up, and then the outreach portion of it needs to be looking out into the
So we're,
community
yeah.
to pull the families in.
Got it.
We're just asking for one position that would serve all 4 sites.
Okay, and urgently, like where?
We're thinking for
We
the
just
25, 26.
Put your wish list and then,
Yeah, the wish list was that we could hire somebody soon so that
Okay.
Gina can onboard them, so that in August, they're not, you know, because all of that registration and LEO and billing work
yeah,
is already up and running, so if there's wish list, if we can overlap now to get training with Dina, that would be great.
okay,
So midwinter, right,
by midwinter.
by
it's there, right?
February.
Yeah.
And if we can't have it by then, but by July 1st for sure.
And the other position would be a licensed preschool coordinator. So I think to be an expanding program and to be over 4 different sites and to be having the space to grow into a small elementary school, I think having an instructional coach that's full-time, with a background in early childhood and intervention could really support our program and our teachers. So that's another, ask for this year.
And this is this year, and that's.
No, that's,
Origin.
we're asking this year for.
For next year, for this one.
Right,
Yeah.
that's for next year.
Okay.
Because all of our staff are all, even though some hold licenses, they're all certified.
Yeah.
So we're asking for our classified staff that would be a right hand person. Yeah.
But ideally, the admin.
Coming
jumps in
on
the
a
middle of
little
this year to get a
earlier.
little more.
Some onboarding, yeah.
Mhm.
Because they start registering January
Right,
first.
right. Now we want the big asks.
Right. We want to continue our partnership with, after school, so adding 3-year-olds into after school. So that's available to them from 3 to 6 and on Fridays from dismissal at 12:30 to 6. With childcare licensing ratios, it affects, the number of staff that we need. But that is an ask from the community we heard in our survey, so we'd like to continue that. For tuition, for our preschool program, we're doing a little bit over a 3% increase. So we're going to $810 per month. We have a sliding scale at 125. So families that apply and qualify for free and reduced lunch for the half-day program, 5 days a week, it'll be $400 per month with a $100 per month sliding scale. And then after school is staying the same as it was this year. And there's just a little blurb here on the side about the power and the need for that preschool administrative assistant outreach to help families with the DWS childcare subsidy. So January 1 registration opens, and here are the options that we'll have for families. For 4s and 3s, there's a 5 full day a week option, and also for 4s and 3s, a half day a week option for 5 days. And again, depending on numbers at registration, we'll build those classes so that we can hit our right ratios and that they're full enough. So outcomes for 25-26, more access, more students, more families. We'll have a capacity for 288. We really want to target school and literacy readiness, behavior and social skills, wellness program, really focus on oral language development, and then continue to provide great services to students with disabilities. Next slide. So this is the requested budget for the increase for next year. We're adding 4 new classrooms. We're moving all of our 3-year-old programs from half day to full day. We're increasing staffing. That 3-year-olds isn't the afternoon, but after school. Sorry for the typo. And then SPED increases for 3-year-olds full time. The 3 columns on the left are expenses. So preschool, after school, and special education. The revenue is the 4th column, which will take off of our expenses. And the allocation from the district is there at the end.
What's the change?
From this year, the increase, we had a approved budget last year of 2.268 million. With the new ask being close to $400,000. Is after. So building out Harley's and Trailside, doubling that capacity, we're moving to add 14, 35 and 40 hour staff. We're moving to move a 6-hour week program to 32 hours a week. And all the great research behind there about early intervention and intervening early really backs up what this district and the investment that we have all made in. And we want to continue that and just get kids as early as we can.
And so the SPED, that's in all 4 locations, the 3-year-old for SPED?
We, our students with disabilities that require a high level of support and supervision are at McPolin and Parley's.
Okay.
That way for staffing, they're not concentrating, right?
Okay. And this is, what is the difference in the day for a 3-year-old in sped? Is it a full day, half day?
It's a full day. So if we're offering that for general ed, we need and it's a case by case basis, so we would determine a least restrictive environment for an individual. But they will have that offering and, you know, we'll work with the family to make sure that we can provide the best services.
Are they isolated or pulled in?
They're pulled in, but
Okay.
we also do pull out, in a separate setting to work on school readiness skills so they can push in and be successful.
Okay. So could this change after registration in January?
If we go down, this is the max.
This is the max,
This is the
okay.
max.
This
So
is the
this
max and it
most
could be
that
less.
would be. Okay.
We had a situation this year where they had a plan,
Yeah,
that plan hasn't come to fruition, right? We didn't have as many kids, part of that was the late registration.
Right.
And so whatever revenue we're decreasing that in their expenditure budget as well,
Got it.
right? So
Okay.
it's a dollar for dollar.
okay,
I think we're in, it's long-term planning, right? And so
yeah,
I'm thinking that we're getting less than 60% of
right,
208 kindergartners.
Yeah,
And we got less than 20% of that number as well. We need to, with these new beautiful spaces, we need to pull other providers in, we
Got
need to
it.
pull families in. We need to have tours, we need to educate, we need to build connections with expecting mothers all the way up through
right.
4-year-olds, right? And to get them into our building.
I mean, that admin person also would not, you suggested they work with, Department of Work Services. And would there be any component of the outreach to get some who don't know about the services being offered for registration? Like,
Absolutely,
Yeah,
yes.
that's a significant part of their role.
yeah,
So to welcome families into the spaces, to help them with registration.
and do
So
like some reach out.
yeah, to build connection with them and then let them know what's offered and support them with signing up. Our outreach across the four elementaries are, you know, incredible in supporting that,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
they're also working K
so
five,
much,
right?
yeah,
So if we had one person that could do that for the entire program, that could really make a difference.
okay,
I was assuming you work with the Wasatch Pediatrics and early houses and all
Yes.
those places that direct you to the next.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rand, could we see something that would look like if this person was put in the middle of the year so that this outreach could begin for register, I mean.
And
before
so,
And if January is when registration opens, when.
right,
Right.
yes, so January registration opens and it will open at the same time for in-district people as
Right.
out-of-district people. That's how we're getting that extra month. But we're not asking you to vote on this tonight. You
Yeah,
have
no,
time,
right.
so.
I'm just wondering if you could pull some numbers for, as we discuss this, what that would look like if
If
some.
we have to
if
hire
a
for
point
this
here,
year.
If we got that one position hired for this year,
Yeah. we can
yeah, to
calculate that.
see, because
Yeah.
it makes sense that outreach starts.
In January.
For the registration period,
Right.
yeah,
right,
and not miss that window again.
right.
Or miss
Is that
it.
more likely to be a new hire or existing position put into that position?
Existing person put in that position,
Yeah,
you mean, or a
existing-
new hire?
Yeah, existing employee.
Well, with, school personnel moving around, there may be someone in the district who
Okay.
could do it, but we would need to look at that.
Maybe we can see it.
Sure. Yeah, we can estimate that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, appreciate all this. Yeah,
You guys.
yeah. Thank you. Okay, we are gonna move on to a decision item. Having reviewed the realignment plan, the board will now make a motion, to initiate the closure of Treasure Mountain Junior High. Business Administrator Randy will review the process moving forward. And again, this is
Yeah.
in order to, want to give a little context?
Yeah, so
here?
with our, thank you, with our reconfiguration next year, that's planned with 8th grade going to Eckerd, 9th grade going to the high school, which is why you see the additions that Mr. Tanner spoke about. We've got to go through the closure process, which has changed quite a bit, the legislative session in the last couple of years due to other districts that will not, I'll leave unnamed.
Mhm.
And have these great experiences. The final decision by the board has to be done before January first. So that's why we're starting the process now. Just to kind of let you know what's gonna happen if the board moves tonight to start that process. Tomorrow morning, thanks to Lori, she's worked a lot, probably over the weekend getting this ready.
Yeah.
We have to mail out a notice to 7th, 8th, and 9th grade parents, as well as send from our electronic mail system, saying, hey, the board's considering closure of Treasure Mountain Junior High. All of the dates that are on here are either action by us. If it's by the board, it's during a regular board meeting. There's gonna be 2 public hearings during a regular board meeting, but there is one meeting that we would hold on November 12th that would have to be at Treasure Mountain Junior High. So it would just be a public hearing is all that would be, for the patrons that wanna come and speak, in favor or against that, closure. And so that date is November 12th. We were gonna have it earlier in the month, but it's election day, I think, the 5th, so we decided to skip election day. So just be aware of that as a board, that November 12th is an additional meeting that we're gonna have to advertise and have on that. We'll advertise that at the school. That's one of the requirements. So every other date in here coincides with an already scheduled board meeting. And we'll just walk through step by step on that process as we go through the next couple of months.
And just to be clear, this is to close Treasure, so then we have the option of what to do with Treasure next, after the closure.
Yes.
But this has to happen before we can consider moving forward with anything.
Yes, this is just stating that it's no longer gonna have students in it as it does now. That and parents, patrons are aware that that's going on. But what happens to Treasure after? There's programs, renovation, level, whatever it is, that's all those options available.
All right, so, with that, I'm gonna ask for a motion, to initiate the closure of Treasure Mountain Junior High.
Make a motion to initiate for the Treasure Mountain Junior High.
Okay, great. All in favor? Aye. Any discussion?
No.
Any discussion? Any discussion?
No.
We have, we're good. Okay, we're good with that. All right. I'm gonna ask for a motion to, adopt the following policies. Policy 720 for employee drug testing. Policy 7150 for contract status for newly hired classified employees. Policy 7155 classified staff promotion and transfers, and policy 145 attendance policy.
Make a motion to adopt policies as read.
Any discussion?
The board, do we have
Any
anything?
comments or anything on any of those? No?
Nope.
All good? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, great. Okay, now we're gonna move on to public comments. Before we do that, as I know there are several things, and I think, I personally just want to say, with all that's going on in the district and the community, thanks for people, especially those reaching out with some patience and grace, all the civility. And I also want to acknowledge that it's caused us to, not have some of the priorities that we've committed to. We just haven't had a chance to follow through on some of the discussions we've had in the last board meetings, and there's frustration, and I completely acknowledge that and want to own that. That does not mean that we're not working hard to still try and address some very important priorities. And I want to make particular apologies to those who put in such great efforts and made their time constantly to show up, to reach out, including issues around athletics, the master plan for athletics, or to equity programming, to lots of things. We can walk and chew gum at the same time, but sometimes some things have to take over and take a little bit more time. It doesn't, so first, it's just an apology. There's no excuses. I don't want to sit here and try and pretend that, there's reasons we should defend why some things haven't been addressed. That said, and we can be better about communicating what is going on and what we are doing, so that there is not this kind of developing this frustration around what the heck, they're not doing anything, we're not caring about it. We do care. There's a lot of things we care about, and there's a lot of things that have to be addressed. in a district. And there's processes that we have to sometimes go through that are legit barriers. That said, in particular, we'll commit to doing a better job at updating about some of the, really important processes. I want to address in particular the athletics plan, knowing that hard work and the many issues that have come up around that. We have, I feel, two pathways going on here. We have this potential master athletics plan that we want to move forward with the community on, but with the community and understand what it looks like cost-wise, all of that. And I know that is in process. Part of that is getting possibly treasure clothes. Part of that is getting through the hoops of getting the right certifications, the right permits. There also is change that can and should happen to help make these athletic programming and some of this facility use better despite a big master plan. There's a lot of districts around the country that do good things for their students and activity, and students in all activities that don't have a master plan potentially coming down the lane with incredible facilities. So please know we're committed to better and to continuing to work on it and appreciate the continued reach out and also the frustrations. And I hear ya, feel some of them as well. So I just wanted to address that. I don't know if anyone else has anything else to say about that. So now we'll have public comments. We, in order to respect and preserve the time allotted to each, if anyone wants to make a public, just fill something out and turn it in here, Lori, please. You get, each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes. Speakers representing a group will be limited to 5 minutes. If you wish to address the board, please read and complete turn it in. You don't have to write your whole thing out. We expect that all public comments will be polite, respectful, and accurate. Please refrain from specifically identifying personnel. Personnel issues are not appropriate for public comment, and therefore such comments will not be allowed. All right, Laura, anything that's been sent in or anything that's been sent in? All right. Shannon Michaelis? Or Michael? No, Michaelis?
Michaelis, yeah. Impressed. I used to be a cadet, so no one's in the last name. So again, I'm just here to talk about the same thing we talked about last time. I'm not here to cause a stink at all. I just know that a week ago, we were all sitting down, talking about numbers, talking about what was possible, talking about what's been, laid aside. I forget all the lingo, Randy. You told me like 5 times and I forget it. But how I understand things can't just happen right away. And as I am, I have no problem listening to the pre-K expansions. I have a 5-year-old, as I said last time. I also have 3 teenagers. I think it's interesting that we're talking about wish lists for 3-year-olds. Once again, I'm a mom, so I'm not knocking this. When we don't, once again, we don't all belong. The athletes don't belong here. They just don't have a place. And we're making room for all these pre-Kers. They're gonna be down the valley in private school within the decade. It's just a guarantee. I'm watching it happen, as I said last time. I appreciate the apology on, it didn't get on the docket today. We can't expect to always be number 1. But I would just love to know when it can get on the docket.
Yep.
Because we're closing treasure, that's just, I mean, we don't even have to vote on that. It's a done deal. Congratulations, Mr. Klein, to your new position. We could move forward without having to involve the community for even just a small part, which is what we talked about, and Nick was there for the entire thing. Or we can just move forward on just starting with fields, and we can't even try and fundraise and ask people to provide money for things, and when they're like, we don't see anything happening. We don't see anything happening. We're expanding elementary schools for kids that will not continue on to the high school, is what's happening. And until we move.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What are you basing that statement
On all of my children's friends who are leaving in droves. In droves.
Because of baseball fields.
Because of all the things with the athletics here in our community. They're leaving for football, they're leaving for baseball, they're leaving for basketball. I cannot tell you how my son's a senior. So many wonderful athletes, they're gone. They're out of here. They're going to Brighton and Skyline and Olympus and all these places that have better facilities because we can't provide them. And so I'm just curious, when can we move forward with this? I totally get, there's a lot going on. I'm a mom of 4 people. I literally am exhausted all the time. There's a lot going on for all of us. But when can you assure us that something's gonna move forward with this?
Yeah, well, I'm not gonna overcommit this board or anybody to anything right now and say something because will fall short, and I don't wanna do that, because that's what the apology was for. To say it is a big process, and we have to possibly, we don't know, going to the public, to general bond. I don't know if you were here in the one before the last bond, but it was shut down because of that facility.
Right, and that
There
was
is-
2000, that was 9 years ago.
Yeah, and I hope
But
that we
I
can
just
move along.
point to there was also a bond on the last election and for Park City for pickleball that failed. And so the community was asked for public funds to fund it now. So. And that was it.
Yeah, no, we need to do a better job. I completely agree. And we'll get, I think what makes the most sense at this stage is to get a communication, get a plan that, like I said, there's 2 funnels. We have the master plan that's moving forward, but there's other things that improve facilities and athletic facilities that would, if they are not fitting into a big master plan, what can be done that doesn't fit into a large master plan that has to be done in order to serve the students that are currently in the school? And not waiting for $50 million master athletic plan to get put in place for that to happen. And I believe that work can be done. We need to focus on that and where the funding comes from. And I think Randy has done since that meeting. It didn't fall on deaf ears. Nick and I were in touch with it, talked to Randy. There's definitely a lot that is in play that does allow for some movement. It's not going to just look like here's the $50 million, who's gonna fund this, and that's gonna get built in the next year. And I appreciate there's a lot short of that. That shouldn't be the only thing that can happen. We need to do this right so that we get the buy-in of those who could oppose this. There are a lot of people who don't have kids and in sports, and they look around this town and think we have the best athletic fields and facilities in the country. So we have Olympic places, right? Not traditional sports in high school. And, I don't know why you're smirking, but Sarah and I just talked about this on the phone before this meeting. I'm saying the people that believe in the skiing is the athletics, they're not understand that baseball matters. Those are the people I'm referring to. They believe that we have an Olympic, we have a bobsled course. I mean, we have some really fine that don't serve. I have 4 kids too. All 4 have gone through this school and all 4 have gone through sports programs. I think that we have to get better. We know that. We have to get better at some of this. We have to also be very strategic about making sure it's not just a master plan that costs this amount and nothing else that can fix some of these issues. There are some real low hanging fruit here that has to get fixed, and it has to get done, frankly, to the best of our ability this year in order for us to go into the next season, spring season. And I believe that. And so a timeline of the actual master plan, when we have to figure out the full cost of it. The design has been done. You've seen it presented here. That I don't know is the buy-in of the community. We did have the vote at Treasure. The survey was out that is what the highest votes were for an athletic complex. Once that place, if it can get demolished, there's your steps for all of that. Demolishing it will take a period of time, and permitting and all of that. So we don't want to wait till that all gets done to serve the students that are playing baseball, softball, and other sports this year, right? So we have to break this out into different, there is a phased master athletics plan that we come back in, 5-10 years that could be beautiful. That doesn't do anything for some of the challenges we have right now. And I believe that we can be doing both. We should be doing both, and we can do better at both, for sure. And we need to I think it comes down at this moment to what is the budgeting, where are we gonna get the resourcing, more community partner groups. We saw how a scoreboard was built. that there are certain things that can get done by outside groups that we're not funding, but those, of course, we're a public organization, we're a public institution, so that can only go up to a certain amount of money without getting other approvals and permitting. That's.
But we can't
important.
ask for like the outside sources until we know that we can actually move forward.
Right, and we can't actually ask, well, exactly, we have to come to a collaboration and build, I mean, the ideal situation in this smaller community is that we're partnering, right? It's not ideal to have all these separate, no, we don't need 4 rec center, and we do in terms of service, but we need to be doing that collaboratively. Because that just doesn't make sense, to not have a shared space and all of that. So I agree with you, I think we all do, as an administration that have been building, and it's not new, and that's an even more important reason to continue to do this. I do think we need to continue to also build, I think, community open houses to build, as Sarah and I talked about, why a field matters as much as a great resort ski mountain matters for this community in this town, right? So there's a lot of people here who aren't resourcing the schools. They just aren't. There's a lot of people here for other reasons. And that has to, but those are the people that are taxpayers and the people that we might be reaching out to get some funding. So you are heard, and this is one of our first priorities to continue to move on and continue to talk, and apologize that you're here again, stating your frustrations.
Thanks.
And the 3-year-old in the preschool, just for the record, that's part of the initial bond. That was part of our wraparound
Fully
services,
aware of
so we know,
I know all
and
that.
our job, our first mission is to educate and support students. And 3-year-olds going to school has been it's research-based, their ability to access programs, and it's not just kids who can choose to go to private schools in Salt Lake that we're serving. That is too bad. People are moving out to go find those other services, but there are a lot of students we're serving that's not an option. And so we do have a duty to finish this. We bonded for this purpose, and we need to complete that. We need to fulfill that initiative. Because that's what we, as a community, learned, and as a board, got everyone to vote and pass this bond to do some of these programming. We have to complete that. So, and I don't think we have to choose between 3-year-olds and high school athletes. I think this community and this district can do both.
I would love it if you
Yeah.
did.
Mhm.
Thank y'all.
Thanks for coming. We've just got one more. All right, come on up, early childhood. Very easy.
It's funny to have a parent of a senior,
Yeah,
talking about early childhood, but I came to just to say thank you for everything that you're doing for early childhood. It is so critical. The game is a completely different game, raising small children in Park City than it was when my kids were little. And it was not that different when my kids were little from the seniors in high school
Mhm.
at that time. So it has been a monumental change in this community and in the gaps. And to see the school district and the community making good on this bond that we all worked so hard on,
yes.
twice.
Yeah.
Is a relief and a joy, and I love seeing posts from the teachers being thrilled
Yeah.
about their spaces, and I have, my kid is in sport with Jane Tolley's son, and she was raving to me about how much she loves working in the community center in McPullen and how great it is and how joyful it is to see these spaces being used. And, you know, she's one of our longest standing community employees, and it is thrilling to hear her so happy about that. So I just wanted to say thank you for everything that you've done to make it happen, because it took, you know, the community, took a lot that went into making it a bond in the first place and a lot for the community to agree to. And then to see it executed in such a beautiful way is wonderful. So thank you for that.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
That's what I would want to know. All right, anything else? Anyone else want to submit something? Anything submitted online? Do you want yours read?
Can I
You
just
did
add
submit
some comments
online.
to it? Yeah. I submitted
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I just wanna say, I mean, I don't know if you
You
guys
guys
know.
introduce yourself for the
Oh,
record.
sorry, I'm Sarah Elder.
Thank you.
I said in a previous comment online, I wasn't sure if I was gonna be here, and I'm not sure if
Yeah.
all of you guys had time to read it. But after I had a conversation with, Wendy, and I feel optimistic and hopeful that someday we all can sit here, just like she did, and say, we did this together, we had this great thing, and that we've accomplished, and it's benefited everyone in our community. And I think the frustration comes from, in my opinion, just some like side comments and things where it's like, well, it didn't pass then and it didn't pass then. It's like, maybe it wasn't messaged properly.
Right.
And like, it's negative, and it's not, like, we need the pre-K, we need the early childhood. And it's not instead of athletics, it's an and, like your brain needs to think of it as, we need this and all the other things, like we can do it all for them. But we have to put in the time, put in the effort and do it and collaborate with administration and with community members. And I just want it to be more of a positive interaction with you guys. Open communication, transparency. Okay, so that's my
Thanks for all your
additional
feedback on
comments.
this. All right,
Thank you.
thanks. All right, well, that concludes our meeting tonight. I, will ask for a motion to adjourn until our next scheduled board meeting on October 15th at 4 p.m.
Make a motion to adjourn into our next board meeting.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. All right, this concludes the board meeting. Thank you, everybody.